The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Welcome in, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. This is Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses, and I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And welcome to anybody that's listening. If you're joining us for the first time or an old listener, we appreciate it.
Yes, welcome to all.
Thank you. And here we are, episode 22.
22.
Wow, they're racking up.
They are.
What is this title?
This is Signs Everywhere There's Signs.
Oh, boy. Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
I thought this was good to follow last week's manifestation because we talked a lot about how to manifest things, but when we get into signs, it kind of explains more about how to know if you're manifesting correctly and look for those
Yeah.
paths and things.
Yeah.
So, fits right in there.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Good choice. And it, like you said, fits well from
Yeah.
with last week. Speaking of last week, before we jump into this week, want to talk about anything from last week?
I do. That we had a couple of comments, and I wanted to share this one because you'll understand why. This is from Sherry. Sherry is a devoted listener. I love her. She
Yeah.
always gives us great feedback. So she
Yes.
says, I learned a lot from this one. Thanks for sharing your real life experiences. Thanks also for the reminder that things happen in their own perfect time. I rarely like attention called to myself, but I get super excited when y'all say my name in your show. Thanks for the shout out. So here's another one, Sherry. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Sherry.
Yeah.
Thanks for participating. If you participate, you get a shout out.
Yes, we appreciate it. Can't always get to everybody, but I
Right.
try to.
If we don't know
Get
your
to as
name,
many
we
as
can't
we can.
shout it out.
True that. You
So
could just
that
be
was
on the
awesome. Yeah.
Joneses.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Sherry. Okay, so that's what I have from last week.
That's it?
Yeah, well, I have a couple other things to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Do it.
So I released my blog yesterday.
All right.
Yay, finally. We had talked about that last week that I wasn't sure when that was going to happen because I had written it and put it into the blog program, and when I would push publish, it would give me an error message. So for me, this is a sign, and this is a good way to get into this episode. This is a sign that it's not ready. I shouldn't publish it right now. It wouldn't let me. I mean, I can tell you, I tried and tried and tried. So I worked on it for a while, and I added things and subtracted things, and it sounds much better. And when I went in yesterday to publish it, that publish button worked. So it's
Yay.
up. Yay.
That was a sign that it was ready.
And it was. Yes, thankfully, because I was ready for it to be up. But yesterday was 9/11.
Yes.
So it's always a tough day. So it's nice when good things happen. And 11's also one of my numbers.
It's a great
So,
number. It's a powerful one.
Yes.
I see it a lot.
Yes. So that was, yeah. Anyways, the blog is called No Place Like Home. And it's basically about my journey as a medium, our journey together, Danny's and mine's and our family, and what we've been through in this process and learned and continue to learn. And so we'll get into a lot of different things. But
Yeah. I think it's a more detailed, sort of in-depth kind of like this, but you're able to we're not trying to squeeze everything
right.
in an hour, because I think a blog, it can be long, it can be short, whatever you sort of feel.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily once a week. So I feel
Right.
like you're able to get a lot more in depth with even the topics and things we talk about
Absolutely.
in that.
Yes.
So I'm glad, very proud of you. I think it's
Thank
awesome. It looks cool. The response to the first one was very nice. So.
It was. I, again, was surprised and very pleased. I have
Yeah.
a lot of people joining my Facebook page, and I'll plug it right now that you can find my website is noplacelikehometheblog.com. And then Facebook is the same exact thing, No Place Like Home, the blog. And so you can find me at either one of those and read the blog and join the page, join in on the fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the last thing that I want to talk about is October. October is coming, and we're big Halloween people, and we haven't touched a whole lot on the spookier side of things. So that we're going to devote October to that.
Yep.
We're going to do all kinds
delve into the spooks.
Yep. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Into everything.
So, yeah, I mean, if you have suggestions for October, things you want to talk about, I mean, I think we talked about a little bit with the Ouija, but we didn't really get
into any
too much.
Yeah.
But we're going to discuss, and again, we're open to suggestions, but,
yes,
ghosts, demons, devil, hell,
right.
Whatever.
Even, like Halloween, we can even get into Halloween the meaning itself, of Halloween, because I don't think people really know how that even got started, and it got like this devilish kind of name.
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah. So we'll talk about all kinds of things.
Nice.
Yeah. Looking forward to October.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
It means fall's in the air, too.
Oh, thank goodness, because I'm so tired of the hot.
Me too.
I'm tired.
Everybody thinks that California has, like, perfect summers. Yeah. We don't. Trust me.
Yeah, global warming for someone that already doesn't like heat is like a double slap across the face.
It really is. We're both miserable until it's, like, in the 70s. So,
yeah, when I'm wearing beanies and flannels all the time, I'm happy.
Me too.
So
yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So that's what I have for the weekly recap.
All right. Very good. I like it.
Yep.
So, okay. Well, episode 22 then.
Yes.
Signs.
22.
Everywhere there's signs.
Yes. You know what I liked about this episode being 22 is that 22 is one of my numbers. Mm-hmm. So it is a sign. And a lot of times that in itself is a sign, the repetitive numbers. So if you see like a lot of, not just the double numbers, but triples and stuff, 222, 2222. Those are signs. So I liked putting this episode with 22. Right. I thought it fit.
It did.
So let me tell you, first of all, what the definition of sign is.
Okay.
Because, of course, there's all kinds of like different ways to use this word. We're talking about how the universe communicates with us, how our loved ones communicate with us. But this is Webster's Dictionary's definition.
It's always good to have a definition, I think.
I think so. It gives us a basis, right? Okay. An object, quality, or event whose presence or occurrence indicates the probable presence or occurrence of something else. So one of the examples that they give for this is flowers are often given as a sign of affection. But in what we're talking about, we would change it to flowers are often given as a sign of your loved ones trying to reach you from the other side.
Yeah.
That's basically our definition of signs.
It still fits in there.
It does. It's just, that last word.
That's okay.
Yeah. But it works. Yeah. So,
again, I think having a definition as a basis is good. It's understandable, and we can wrap our head around it. Obviously, we know like signs that hang on doors and windows and buildings. Again, those can fit right into what we're talking about as well.
They do. And you know what? I'm glad that you mentioned that, because in episode 1, we talk about a sign that I got, and our quality in the sound was not great in episode 1. And that was a question I got all the time, is what was this sign? So if you've listened to episode 1, I'll tell you now that you can hear it better. When I lived in Las Vegas. I was leaving Las Vegas to come to Southern California for my mom's funeral. And on the way here, I saw a billboard that said, "For a good sign, call Linda." And my mom's name is Linda. So that was what was in episode 1.
Apropos.
But it was one of the first signs from her. It was about a week and a half after she passed. It was one of the very first signs.
Did you automatically feel like that was a sign, or did you just think, that's funny?
No, I was like, whoa, that is too weird. There were a lot of weird things happening, and those weird things can be signs too. They usually are. They're our loved ones' way of telling us, "I'm here. I'm still here. Don't worry." Because especially when you lose somebody quickly, you tend to go into panic mode. So she was kind of throwing weird things that maybe I didn't even recognize as signs, but that got my attention.
That's a very good point that you make about that in what we're talking about here today, is that signs and what makes a sign a sign.
Right.
Okay. What is the difference between just a billboard hanging there as a billboard as opposed to something that's speaking to you and showing you a sign?
Right.
I think the best way I can explain that is there's either a thought or a feeling that comes immediately after.
Yes. Like it's speaking to you.
Yes. That grabs your attention. It's not just that you saw, hey, 1-800 the Barnes firm or something.
Right.
You know, as you're driving down the 405. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
You might even, if there's somebody that you know that was Barnes in your life that, you know, they could reach out and grab you.
Absolutely, but not everybody. It's very personal.
And some people might be, well, that's absolutely ridiculous because, and you're entitled to this opinion, because it's just a billboard with somebody's business or advertisement. Well, yes, but if we're dealing with a realm or a dimension, a world, an afterlife that we can't see, touch, smell, or hear as mortals,
right?
How else are we going to communicate with one another? How else are they going to share things with us?
Right.
If we don't have these signs.
That's right.
And again, I'm talking about, does it speak to you?
That's right. And a lot of times how you notice these signs, because I think that's one of the things that people wonder the most is like, well, how is this happening? Like your mom didn't just put that billboard there, you know, like what people think. Your mom didn't just no, she didn't put that billboard there. But she may have given a suggestion to the person putting the billboard up, or the universe could have done that. Or, and this is what happens more often, is that little tap on your shoulder to look to your left.
Yeah, that's what I was immediately thought that.
Yes.
But yes, you're right. Yeah.
And it happens instantly. And like won't even notice that you're getting that thought. You'll just look.
Yeah.
And you'll know that you were drawn to look that way. Those are how one of the ways they get your attention is just that little tap on your shoulder.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel like that's the best way for us to explain what is the difference between just a sign, a piece of mass or something, as opposed to something that's speaking to you from, you know, the other side, from heaven, from your loved ones, friends, whatever, you know, the universe. Yeah. And it doesn't even necessarily, you know, have to be a loved one. It could be the universe. But I think the loved ones are there sort of to facilitate the universe's work a little more, to push it along.
I agree, absolutely.
You know, the universe is the brains and the loved ones are the brawn, kind of.
Right.
You know.
I get a lot of people that ask me about signs, and they say, is that a sign? You know, whatever it may be, is that a sign? If it feels like a sign to you, it's a sign. You don't need confirmation from a psychic. I'm totally happy to help, but I'll tell you that these are things that you create yourself.
Yeah.
You create your signs with them. Like the signs that I had with my mom at the beginning that she was showing me, some she still shows me to this day, but we create new ones constantly. It's still evolves. It will continue to evolve. And a lot of times it's those things that you think maybe don't mean anything either. You know, like a movie comes on the TV and it's something that you and your mom or whoever watched together, and it touches you. That feeling of being touched, that's a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and if you find yourself like Nicole Gonzalez, did she share that?
Yes, she did.
Really neat picture of her dashboard on her car as she's driving.
Yes, here it is.
It's 8:44 in the morning.
Yes.
She's going
44 miles an hour.
44 miles an hour.
She has 7,777 miles in this trip. You know how it has the trip and and then same thing for her other side because she doesn't change them.
Right.
And so it's all sevens, and then it was 77 degrees.
Wow.
So it was all sevens, fours, and 1 8. And so for some people, sevens are lucky number.
Right.
And if this came up for somebody whose lucky number is 7, that would be like a whoa moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a whoa moment for me right there too. Like, wow.
What I was going to say to that is that's really cool, Nicole. And I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Because I think that if you're seeing those on a regular basis in your life, synchronicities and signs like that,
yes,
that's a good thing.
Yes,
because I think that is your loved ones and or the universe sort of guiding you and saying, whatever you're doing the right thing.
Yes.
So I went through like about 2 weeks ago, I kind of fell into this funk and I couldn't see them. I didn't see the signs. Yeah. And I felt like there was a lot of decisions to be made. And me being my normal, imperfect self, and I want all these decisions made like right now.
Right.
And being impatient, I was blocking myself from seeing those signs.
Yes.
And that's hard. That gets scary. So when you feel like you're seeing all these numbers and you're not really sure why, don't feel bad. It's not a bad thing.
Exactly.
It's
not
really
a warning
good
like
thing. Yeah.
Something bad's coming.
It's typically you're doing good.
Yes.
This is where you should be headed.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you don't see those, for me personally,
yes,
is when I lose that contact, and then I feel a little worried.
Yes.
Like, uh-oh, I feel no connection. I'm not sure. But like the other day, I was like, I got to just play my guitar for a little while and kind of just
snap
escape.
out of it.
Yeah. And I had been working on this song and I've thrown it out and practiced a couple times, never saying anything about it, just kind of jamming it a little bit. And it catches a couple of guys' attention every time. Like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I need to work on that. And I started writing, and I had already had lyrics that I had written but didn't put them to music. And I thought, oh, these will fit really good. And so I started working on it, and then it came to the second verse, and I just started something. I didn't even sing the lyrics that were on my sheet. I just started making something else up.
Mm-hmm.
And something, for some reason, out of my own typical self, like grab my phone, check my phone, make sure you weren't messaging me or Marina or something.
Yeah.
And it was 11:11.
Uh-huh.
I see 11:11 all the time.
I do too, almost every day.
Yeah. And I see all those synchronicities, those signs, the 3 digits, 2 digits, whatever. A lot of those dashboard synchronicity signs where they're all matching up.
Mm-hmm.
So those I do see. And then sometimes they're so blatantly obvious, but I still want to question.
Everybody, I think, does.
And I'll give like another example real quick is that when Gypsy Brown was going through some personnel change a couple months ago, we were looking for a new drummer. And I thought, oh boy, this is going to go on forever and take a long time, and it's going to bum everybody out.
Yeah. The momentum.
It was, and affect the momentum. It was literally seamless. It was a phone call that I was ignoring the signs, or I was telling myself this couldn't be, but I knew it was.
Right.
And I was terrified. I was like asking a girl on a date. Even though I call Milo, I've known Milo for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And I've played music with him before. The sign was that he currently plays in a cover band, a Fleetwood Mac cover band called Twisted Gypsy. And the band that I'm in is called Gypsy Brown.
Yep.
And I thought, this has to be. I mean, my mind was going, there's no way. But the universe was telling me, and that they're pushing me, like screaming at me, like, he's the one, just make the phone call.
Right.
And it literally wasn't even like, yeah, sure, I'd love to come in and try it out and see, like how it works. But it was just like, I love it. I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
And it came in the following week or 2 weeks later, and we're now 6 weeks or 7 weeks into this. So, again, the sign was blatant. I still wanted to argue with it on some level.
Yes.
But once I did, I proved the universe correct.
Right. And the thing with that too, and I think we touched on this a little bit, a manifestation is about timeline. Mm-hmm. Is that about everything happens in the timeline it's supposed to. And so sometimes if you're on a path and you kind of know where you want to go, but it feels like things are a little mundane, and then all of a sudden it's like wham, 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 signs. To me, that's a push. And that's what was happening to you when it was time to bring Milo in, is you started feeling that push with the signs. They were happening, but you wanted to resist because you thought, no, this isn't what this is.
Right.
But for Milo, it was the right timing as well. So the timelines matched up. But if they would have given you those signs sooner, the timelines might not have matched up.
And those exact words came out of Milo's mouth when he said yes. He said, you know what? had you called me, or because I did talk to him a few years prior, see if he was interested in doing some recording with me, and he wasn't able to. He was busy. So he said, yeah, if this would have been any earlier, I wasn't available. It wouldn't have been the right time for me. He said to me last week, as he was driving here or driving home, maybe it was driving here, he said, it was like God was screaming to me, you'd be a fool not to take this opportunity because it's on your way home from work once a week, and it's guys you know and respect as musicians. It was just all, you're right, it was all timing. I had to listen to the sign, acknowledge it for what it was, and listen to it, but let it do its thing in its time. And that's probably my biggest struggle in this, is going, God, I'm 50 years old and not 50. I'm 48. don't. I'm 48. The rest of them are 50. Sucks for you. But anyways, you know what I mean? I just want to rush it along, but I realize, you know what? I can't do that.
Yeah.
It just has to do it. And Milo's not the only one. Prior to Milo, we were a 4-piece. Now we're a 5-piece, but we brought in a bass player and had the existing bass player, Tom, move to guitar and just guitar and sing. And he plays harp and stuff and tambourine now, and he's expanded greatly. And Brian has helped the sound. Brian Ward has helped the sound tremendously. But that was also a sign, because I was playing something on the side with him as a 3-piece, and I'm sitting there playing the drums. It was just me, a guitar player, and him on the bass. And as I'm playing the drums, I'm looking at him. I keep getting this thought or this feeling of like, why are we doing this? He needs to be in Gypsy Brown.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I had to end that thing in order for this to happen, but it was well worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was something that was bugging me inside, in my mind or my heart, my conscious, for weeks, until I finally addressed and said something to Tom, like delicately, like, I hope I don't hurt your feelings, but how would you feel about going back to what you really do? And that's guitar, and have a bass player come in, you know. Tom was just filling the shoes because no one else wanted to do it. I totally respect that. But so anyways, it's those signs, and like you said, the manifestation is like, that's part of it. You have to listen to the signs, follow them in order to do it.
And like what you're talking about, a lot of times those signs, especially if you're into this like we are and you see them all the time, they'll try and talk to you that way, intuitively. It's your own intuition kicking in, your own voice that you're hearing, and that's how they'll send you signs to move along as well.
Right.
The other day, I had one of those. I guess you'd call her my mentor, Maureen. She's the one that told me that I had these abilities.
Yep. Love Maureen.
I had told you a couple of weeks ago, I believe, that I had this feeling to call her. And I kept putting it off. And then the other day, I got this all of a sudden, call Maureen, call her. Okay, I'll call her now. Do it now. When you have those, do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't not just do it.
It's not like you bugging you. It's them trying to help a situation. If it's not helping you, it's to help someone else.
Because let me tell you why they wanted me to call Maureen. Her mother had passed away 5 days prior. So she told me that she wanted to call me, but she didn't feel like she was ready yet.
Right.
Totally. And, but she had thought about it and kept having that same kind of nagging feeling, like, call Samantha.
Right.
And she didn't listen. And so she was very thankful that I did. So listen to those. That's your intuition. Those are signs, very much so. I mean, obviously you can't, not all of them. They feel different, is what I'm trying to say. Like, sometimes we have our own thoughts that are obsessive, and I do that.
Right.
And those aren't from them, those obsessive thoughts. That's something I asked my mom a while back, is how do I know the difference between my thoughts and your thoughts? And what I got back was that theirs will never be obsessive, like continue on and like drag on. And what was the other word I used? I told you this. I can't. Paranoia. That's what it was. You'll never feel paranoid because of the signs that we're giving you. And that's a big thing for me, is that I will feel paranoid. Right. And they don't want you to feel that way. Right. So that was something.
That's a good point, because I mean, to talk about the signs besides something like visual, the signs within you, your head, good point, is that for me, and I agree with this, is it sounds like myself.
Yeah.
Sounds like my voice or thought. But the difference for me is very true. There isn't paranoia with it. And it's almost, if I'm thinking something, it comes in almost before I'm finished saying what I'm thinking.
Right.
It interrupts in a way.
Exactly.
And that's how I know, okay, they're trying to tell me. And, and I'll fight it. The obsessive part comes from me, you know, like, no.
Right. Yeah.
I just want to be mad.
Right. Yeah.
So
I don't want to talk on the phone.
Yeah. So that is a great point, is that I definitely feel like the internal signs are just as important as the external tangible ones.
And once you learn to recognize the external ones, I think they give you more of the internal ones as well.
Right.
Because they're kind of building you, like, really honestly, before, let's just say before you even reconnected with me, which was 2013, did you really see signs? Did you notice any of this? Was this something that, you know, maybe occasionally, but it wasn't something that you really thought about?
What are you asking me?
If before we reconnected, if you saw the signs from the universe, not like you do now, because now is different.
No.
But back then, do you remember seeing like any kind of signs from the universe?
No, I actually didn't even recognize or pay attention to synchronicities until I was working at my last job about maybe 7 or 5 to 8 years ago. And I remember I mentioned that one where the girl said, have you ever noticed synchronicities on the cash register? And she explained how you'll get a total and the next person change. Was that total previous total? Stuff like that.
Right.
As soon as I opened my mind, like somebody mentioned it to me, I was like, boom, it started
my point.
Happening to me.
Yes. That is very much my point.
And I think that's before I met you. Yeah.
Yes.
Or reconnected.
So you are a great example of how you have grown to now recognize these signs on an almost everyday basis. And because you do, they make them more intricate and harder sometimes to recognize. They throw more at you than they did at first.
Yeah.
So if you start, I'm going to go through some different types of signs. And, you know, if we have stories along the way, we'll tell you.
Another good point real fast, too, is like on a dashboard scenario, when a lot of those numbers are, you know, showing themselves to me, synchronizing, there'll be a song.
Yes.
Boom. That they're saying something in it that is applying to me in my moment, in my time.
Yes, you know? Those are very much synchronicities, which are a sign within a sign, basically. Yes. Yeah, like multiple signs at one time.
Right.
So, anyways, my point is that the more that you use it, the more you notice it. So I think once people know what some of these signs are and they can start to build on those, they'll start to get more and more and more signs. So I want to talk about some of the types of signs that there are. One of my favorites is animals. And here's a funny story, is that we've had a lot of spiders this season. I don't like spiders. And they have come after me. I was sitting on the floor in the living room one day and one fell from the ceiling.
Yeah.
I was sleeping one night and there was one in my hair that I pulled out and chucked across the room.
And you found it? You think you found it later?
I found him in a glue trap. Yep. I was like, yes, there he is, because I knew he was around. But then a couple of days later, I found his twin in the bathtub.
Uh-oh.
So, and we
Boris the spider.
Okay. Anyways, going back to my spider story. I don't remember how this... Oh, I was looking up research for this. That's right. I was looking up like different things if I was missing anything, and it talked about animals. And then the first animal that it said in here was a money spider. I was like, what the hell is a money spider? I looked it up, and it's the spiders we've been seeing.
Oh, wonderful.
So I wasn't really taking that as a sign, because like we have had a lot of financial concerns. I didn't at first take that as a sign of, it's okay, you know, like money's coming. Your money's falling from the ceiling and is in your hair while you're sleeping. You know what I mean?
No, the spider's sucking it dry of it.
Anyways, so I didn't really think of that at first. But then when I saw that it said money spider and I looked it up, I was like, oh my gosh, these spiders are called money spiders. Yeah. This has been a sign all along that I didn't see. So And that's unusual, okay? I'm going to tell you, that's the first time that's happened to me. I don't like spiders, so don't think that most spirits or the universe will throw spiders at you.
No.
I'm an unusual case. They do weird things to me.
For sure.
For the most people, you'll see things like butterflies and dragonflies and cardinals. And I see ravens, which is another personal thing for me because my mom hated birds and she specifically hated ravens. Right. And so now
it's almost like she's trying to tell you it's okay.
Everything she hated, I've been taught to like. Yeah. For the most part. Yeah. That's another thing they do is because they don't want you to dwell on their loss, is they try and teach you those things, which is a good next one is numbers.
Well, real quick before you jump to that, the butterfly and the dragonflies, for me, it's I get that a lot, and it's not just like, oh, look, I'm looking around for a dragonfly or a butterfly. No, it's like I'm walking down the sidewalk, or I'm driving my car, and it's literally right in front of me. Yep. Passes right in front of me.
And does usually weird things in front of you too sometimes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was one time I took Sabbath to the park and we went for a hike in the hills behind, and I took some pictures along the way, and they were live pictures. And when I got home, I was going through them to find the best shot to share on Facebook on 3 different pictures. There were butterflies that I did not notice when I took the picture.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But so when I went to do the live, and I went through the thing, I saw the butterflies on there. 3 different pictures. Right. So those kinds of weird things that seem maybe like they're coincidence, they're not. No. The butterfly that comes and smacks you in the head is probably a good sign.
Yeah, when I went on my hike the other day to Corriganville, it's kind of having a tough day. I'm like, I just need to get out. Yeah. It's been so hot. I feel trapped inside, but I couldn't handle it, so I tried to go early. And I just went out there for like an hour, and at one point I ended up standing underneath this awning that they built there with like picnic tables for some shade. And I was just sitting there, and dragonfly came and he was just hovering like 5 feet above me. Yeah. Just like kind of we're looking at each other. Yeah. You know, so.
Those are very much signs.
And I just tried to like connect to it and, you know, look at it not as that's a dragonfly.
Right. It's a vessel.
Yes.
It's for them, their soul to go into, a piece of their soul to go into that dragonfly, to be able to do those types of things, to show you that you're there. I was chased by one of those flying beetles the other day. I'm like, okay, seriously with
those things sound like motorboats.
They do,
and
they have no idea where they're going, but that thing kept coming after me. I'm like, really? I get that all the time. Little flies that are like in my ear because they, like I said, they do really weird things to me. But yeah, so those things, those are signs. Don't discount them. They're there to show you. Numbers is really one of the other huge ways that they show you. And we had talked a few minutes ago about how they try and take the negative out of things. And my mom died on April 13th. So 13 for a long time, I hated it. Everybody hates 13 for the most part anyways. It's like that unlucky number. But she showed it to me constantly. It was everywhere. It was 13 this, 13 that. Like I remember my dog Sequoia that we had, we got her on the 13th, and I got a new car on the 13th, and all of these things. Right. So I just eventually learned that she wanted me to recognize it as a positive, not as her death day, as her transition day, as the start of her life on the other side day. Right. And once I accepted that, she started using it a lot more, and now it is a very big consistent in my life. Yeah. Yeah, every day, every single day. So you'll establish those numbers. Right. Those numbers can be anything. They're very personal.
They can be switched, too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you said before, like Halloween's your favorite holiday, and 31 is 13 backwards.
Right. Absolutely. And I see a lot of, so my numbers are 11, 13, 22, 26. But I also see 52 a lot, which was the year my mom was born. And I see 77 a lot, which is the year that I was born. So I will take those. They're not my numbers, but I will take them. I also take 28 because it's Marina's number. Right. I see that one a lot. And if I see them backwards now, I'll take them as well. Like 82, 62, those.
Yeah, like I was sharing with you, Marina's birth date is in my Social Security number. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Her full birth date is in my Social Security number.
Yes.
as well as couple doubles.
Yes.
Of things. Our initials and her birth date is on my license plate.
Yes.
It's weird.
It is weird. And the deeper I get into this, the more I see those numbers. I see numbers all day, every day without looking. I get the tap on the shoulder when it's 11:11 almost every single day. 111, 222 every single day. 413, 430 is my mom's birthday. Every day. It's just their way of being like, hi, or you're on the right path. It's not a warning. It's not bad. It's very, very positive. And once you learn it's positive, you'll start to see them more.
Right.
And notice everybody in this town seems to have 22 or 26 as the last numbers of their license plates. Seriously. I'm drawn to license plates lately so much. And it's just the last two numbers are like always one of my numbers.
Right.
And it blows my mind every time.
Or the new client that you just had.
Yesterday?
Yeah, where it was, her name is Linda.
Yep.
And her mailbox number is 11.
11, yep.
So
when she said her name was Linda, I was like, yeah, shocker. Because yesterday was strong.
Right.
Yesterday I released the blog. And I also have the interview I forgot to talk about, but I'll plug that at the end. I did an interview, which also released yesterday. So it was kind of a big day. So she was very, very strong. So I wasn't surprised about those things. And I wonder sometimes if people, like, they see me kind of maybe roll my eyes, or they probably wonder why'd you roll her eyes when I said my name was Linda? Because of course it is, you know. And that's another thing, names, phrases, quotes. My mom loved movie quotes and song quotes. And so, like, we were watching The Wizard of Oz the other night, and I had totally forgot that she used to, when she got scared, go, I do believe in spooks. I do believe in spooks. And as soon as the lion started saying that, it was like flash of mom saying that. So those are signs as well of like, hi, you know, that was a good one. I
think one of the first times we took Marina out when she was a little baby, out in public for like dinner or something, and this woman was just, you know, oohing and eyeing over her. Oh my gosh, she's so pretty and cute. And she asked her, what's her name? And she asked us, what's her name? And I said, oh, Marina. She said, oh, that's my name. And for me, that's not a name that you hear a lot.
No.
And it was just like a reassurance for me. Like, yeah, you've picked a great name for this soul.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, absolutely. So. And the meanings to them sometimes like that are very personal.
Yeah.
And you might feel those inside of like, okay, this sign to me means this. Music is another one. And for me, honestly, besides numbers, it's the strongest.
Right.
The songs are constantly added. Right. It's not like they're just old songs that remind me of my mom from when she was alive. They're new songs that change constantly on this journey.
If I can interject in the song part, is that not only if the song is speaking, even if it's a song you've heard a million trillion times, and all of a sudden this particular moment, it's speaking to you. And when I say that, I mean, if you're getting the chills and your hair standing up on your arms or the back of your neck, if you're getting emotional, that is a sign. So it's not just... It's not just you going, oh my God, am I emotional wreck, losing my mind? No, you're being touched by the divine.
Yep.
Through the divine.
Yep.
Music is probably one of the most divine things on this planet.
Yes. If you haven't listened to our music episode, we did a whole episode on it. I can't remember what number it was, but I loved that episode. Go back and listen to it because we do talk about a lot of this and how it is a connection to the other side, and a very strong one. And they will talk to you in new songs, in old songs, in just one line, even in a song. Like, I'll get in the car, and there was one day, it happened a couple times actually, summer of '69, there's a line in it about times are changing. Right. And like, I turn the engine on, and that's the first line I hear. The song doesn't fit me, but that line does.
Yeah.
But then you'll have times like yesterday, I heard Imagine Dragons, Whatever It Takes, 4 times. And I went online and I looked at the lyrics, and every single word of that song fits what I'm going through right now. Wow. About doing whatever it takes to make my dreams happen, and that, you know, all of that. So I know that is a right now song. So they change constantly. Right. So, take those songs when a loved one first passes, you take those songs that remind you of them, but take the new ones. Don't leave them because you think that it's your own imagination telling you that that's them. It is them.
Yeah.
It's them speaking to you through music. I truly believe that when people write music, maybe not every single person, but for the most part, you're a songwriter. When you write those lyrics, a lot of times
it comes out of nowhere.
They are doing it through you. They are sending those lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is people look at like some lyrics are bad but the thing is that music does something different to each one of us. So just because you might not understand a certain type of music, like death metal or hardcore rap, for those people, it touches them in some way, in the same way that maybe like classic rock touches me, Pink Floyd, Fleetwood Mac. Eminem may touch somebody like my brother's hardcore Post Malone. It touches him in a spiritual way, probably. That's for him. It's everybody takes their own thing. So don't ever look at it like generalized. It's all about you and what you feel connected to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I mean, even black metal is divine.
It is.
They might be talking about, death and dark things, but music is divine, and it's doing something to their audience, to their fans. It just moves people.
Yes.
For the same reason, a lot of older generations go, I don't understand those, what do they call those mosh pits? It used to be slam dancing, then it was moshing. I don't know. They've got a million different names for it. But those kids can't help but do that.
Yeah.
The energy that's swirling around is making them want to do that.
They have to get it out.
Yeah. I mean, and the whole idea of moshing isn't, they're not really I've saw some stuff on watched some videos,
had to run out
read
of one
some
once.
articles. It's not really intended to be a malicious thing. It can be dangerous, and a lot of people do look out for people if they fall down or, girls aren't getting punched and stuff. But it's energy, man.
It is, yeah.
It's just the same as going to a rap concert and everybody's just jumping up and down.
Yeah.
It's just energy.
It's everybody's own way of, expressing the energy that really, I believe, comes through you from the universe.
Yeah, that's why they gave us this, was a way to worship.
Yep. Absolutely. Another way that they come to us is in our dreams. I almost feel like dreams, I don't want to say they're a last resort, but I think because it's maybe one of the ways that people recognize it the most, that it is something that the other side feels like, okay, well, I have to use this because they're not seeing the signs any other way. But that's okay. I mean, they come to us all the time. They come to me still that way. I think I mentioned last week.
I think you go to them, actually.
You think so?
Well, I think when we dream, we go there.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's the same thing. They're still conversing, talking to you. You're around them.
Right.
I don't remember my dreams a lot.
Yes.
So I can't rely on those. I'm so grateful that I do see the signs when I'm awake because I don't remember my dreams a lot.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think there's a lot of, it's all about our perception, really, if you think about it. Because like for somebody that's just lost somebody and they're kind of shutting out things and then they have a dream of their mother and she's radiating beauty. And then they're finally like, whoa, she's here. She's really here. They don't realize that maybe they are in their dreams traveling to the other side. For them, it's just like, wow, there's mom. She appeared,
right.
So I think like for me, when I have those visit dreams, they definitely feel different than other dreams. They stand out more.
Yeah.
They radiate. The person just radiates. It's not negative. It's all positive. It's always positive. If you're having a nightmare, that's not a visit from them. I think we've talked about that a little bit before, that's not them.
Right.
Yeah. So the dreams will be very positive and upbeat. Let's see. Electrical activity. This is one of my favorites. This is the one that freaks people out the most.
Yeah.
And it happens to us a lot. A lot.
Happens in this room a lot.
Yes, it does. it happens. Well, here's a good story. So my ex-mother-in-law, she passed away a few years ago. And before she passed away, I asked her, when you get there, send me some signs. And I gave her a couple of ideas. And one of them is the fridge or the freezer light to turn it off, because she used to call that Yehudi. And when the light would go off, it meant that Yehudi was on vacation. So I told her, I'm like, that's a sign for me when I see when the light goes off in either the fridge or the freezer. And almost every time I'm packing that freezer after I get home from the store, the light goes off.
Yeah.
So these are electrical things that they can do. Usually it is something that you can fix. It's not like it's magic.
They didn't rewire your house.
No. So that light bulb may be a little bit unscrewed and you just need to screw it back in or something like that. I have talked before about how a light bulb exploded on me once when the spirit was trying to get my attention. Obviously didn't hurt me. He wasn't trying to hurt me. It just went poof.
Right.
So you just replace the light bulb.
Right.
So they can do things like that.
Yeah.
Very, very easily.
Well, like this room, for example, there's a street light. We have like a signal, street signal in here. And I don't remember how many episodes it was ago, but the yellow light in the middle was flashing and blinking.
I remember you mentioning that.
Right now, there's no flashing. There's no blinking at all. They're on solid like they always are.
Right.
Every now and then, right next to that signal, there's two lights on these kind of fairy lights I have up above the ceiling, going along the ceiling, and just two of those lights would blink.
Right.
Every now and then.
Right.
And it's almost, and I think I told you when that light was blinking yellow as we were doing the podcast, and I was sitting here, and I'm like, I'm going to try to use my energy right now to draw that thing on, and I could hold it.
Yes.
As I focused and concentrated, I could hold it and keep it from blinking.
Yes.
And then as I lost my concentration and would go back to talk to you, sorry, people, it wasn't like I wasn't paying attention, but I was multitasking. Right. And then it would go back to blinking.
Yes, it is true. You can do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a whole other thing that I never even thought about.
That was a wild experience. Yep. And to me, that was a sign. I don't know if it was like, I love what you guys are doing or talking about, or yay, you're on the right track.
Right.
I mean, in this room, because we record the podcast in where the band rehearses, again, we take photographs and videos in here with tons of orbs and things in these photographs and videos. And to me, that's a sign.
Yep.
It's a sign that they're here.
Yep.
And they're trying to help, and they love it.
Yes.
Because they can't do it. They have to live it through us. And they are. But they're not just living it. They feel that passion of what you're doing at that moment. And I think that's why they show themselves, because they're like, yes.
Absolutely
awesome.
Agree. Absolutely. And it's not to say that if you're down or having a rough time that they won't come to you, because they will. When I would get in my moods after my mom died, she was always there, and there were signs. I remember that there was one time, this kind of goes back to music a little bit, but I remember one time I was crying really, really hard, and it was shortly after she died, and I could not get a hold of myself, but the TV was on. And I got up and I started walking through the house over the TV. I was going to turn it off. And Eminem had just released that song. I can't remember what the song is, but at the end, he's dressed like a mariachi dancer. Oh, it's the D12 song, My Band. And at the end, he's doing this little mariachi dance. And it always made me laugh. And so I saw that and I immediately started laughing. It was like, she's like, take your focus off and look.
Right.
Laugh for a second. So they will still come to you even when you're down, and they will try to do things to cheer you up. Absolutely, like music and stuff, they'll send you funny songs to do things like that. They will try and get through to you any way that they can.
Right.
And they're not going to hurt you in any way, like with the electrical stuff, that kind of thing.
No.
They're not going to hurt you. Other things they do, feathers is a big one. Feathers are a sign, good sign. Coins and flowers. A lot of people, pennies from heaven. Yeah. If you see a penny, a lot of times, they will send you money. They will, and that's another part of manifestation. But they will send you things, actual money, in different ways. And those are signs of
like how you manifest. We talked about that last week, and you manifested this money at a time that was very helpful. that is a sign that your prayers were answered.
Yes, absolutely.
And that your manifestation worked.
Right. Absolutely. And that's why yesterday with the blog all day yesterday, I was having signs all day.
Right.
Because again, it's like a good job.
Yeah.
So you have to take from it what it is for you. Like for some people, if you've just recently lost a loved one and you see those signs, it may not be, yippee, you've done something good. It may just be them putting their hand on your shoulder and saying, I'm here. Stop crying. Stop worrying. Just relax. I'm here.
Right.
There's all different reasons why they will send these signs. You have to analyze them for yourself. But one thing I will say is don't overanalyze.
No.
Because if you try, you can talk yourself crazy. They're not trying to send you negativity or negative things. Usually if they are trying to warn you of something, they will do something more like make you go in the opposite direction. Like if maybe you're trying to avoid an accident, they'll tell you to turn a different way. Right. But they're not going to throw songs and numbers and good things at you if they're trying to warn you about something bad coming. That's something that I've learned through this process over the last couple of years, because I did used to look at certain songs as warnings of bad things. And they don't want that. They don't want you to think negatively. They want you to think positively. Yeah. So they don't send those signs for negative things. Right. For sure. Let's see what else. Oh, touching, that you feel their touch.
Yep.
I get asked by people a lot about pets and what kind of signs pets send us after they've passed, because can be very different from spirits and from the universe. One of the ways that dogs and cats in particular is if they sat on your lap or sat close to you or laid next to you, you'll feel heat radiating or you'll feel their touch. And I did a reading the other day for a guy that was distraught over his dog that had just passed. And he wanted to know a sign of how he knew the dog was around. And I said, do you feel that heat radiating off the side of your leg? And he was like, oh my gosh, I was wondering what that was. Like, that's him. Yeah. That's him. Like, I never felt that until he died. Wow. That's one of the ways that they can get through to you, is that like that feeling on your stomach, or if you had a cat that laid on your chest, that warmth on your chest, because they're animals and they don't really maybe know how to get those things through as much. Right. Or here's another look at it, that they want you to know that it's them and not a human, where a human spirit might send dragonflies. Maybe a dog won't do that. They'll do different things to show you that it is them and not a human.
Right.
Sequoia, our dog that passed a couple years ago, she's one of the few things I visibly see. I see her a lot. The other day, I saw one of my ferrets that I had years ago. That was weird. But so they will present those things to you. And I do believe that animals will show themselves like that a lot more than humans will. Yeah. That's another one from the animals, is seeing their shadows. And from the animals too, smells and like leaving clumps of hair. Right. Those are other things. Smells for people too. Yeah. Perfumes.
Yeah, not to jump into October too soon, but these aren't ghosts or anything there to hurt you or scare you. They're there to reassure you that this isn't the end.
No.
So don't be sad I'm gone.
Yes.
And don't feel like, your reason for your existence is no longer valid.
Right.
Keep going.
Exactly. And you're not alone.
You're not alone.
I think that's even one of the bigger things, because a lot of people have family on the other side, but they may think that their family is distant or doesn't help. And so these are also signs from their loved ones saying, I'm still here helping. Right. I may be distant. I may, not be mom, dad, grandparents, but I'm still here helping you. Yeah. I'm still,
Even if you didn't have a soul that you knew when you pass away.
Yes.
You're never alone. The minute you transcend to the other side, you're never alone. Right. Somebody is there to walk with you and guide you exactly where you're supposed to go. How quickly you go, that's up to you.
Yeah.
But they are never alone.
You're never alone.
Person, that other soul, does never leave your side until you really go to where you're supposed to go.
Absolutely. Yep. You're never alone here either.
No. Even when it feels like it. And I know that as a human, we all feel that. We understand that. But you're not.
You're not. And that's a big reason why they send these signs, is to let you know you're not alone. The universe, your loved ones, God, the source, whatever you believe, whoever you believe is helping you, your spirit guides, they are here for you. And they're helping you. And they're sending you these signs for a multitude of reasons to let you know you're okay and they're here with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, just to go one step deeper on this real quick, is that they're there to let you know that this is the life that you chose.
Yes.
And the path that you said you were going to do.
Yes.
So when you're getting those signs, they're reassuring you you're on that path.
Right.
That contract that you made before you left there to come here for another experience in this world and another lesson or a million lessons, they're letting you know you're on that path.
Yes.
So when you decide you want to change that path, it gets really quiet. And I could speak from a lot of experience for that. Being an artist and wanting to share my music and my art, and sometimes not having faith in that or believing in myself, then all of a sudden it gets quiet.
Yep.
But the minute I start back and going, I have no other choice, I have no other recourse, this is the only thing forward. I know I can do, then it's boom, it's right back.
Yes.
I start seeing it all over again.
Believe.
Yeah, you just have to.
It may seem impossible, these signs, it may seem like coincidences. These things may, to some people, just seem like they're nothing.
Right.
But they are. And if you open your eyes to them, there really is a whole big universe out there trying to help you, and that will help you if you allow it.
Did you do a poll question on this? You did.
I did.
And I think it was 100%.
100% believed in signs and have seen signs.
Right.
Yep.
So we're not alone.
No. Mm-mm. We are not.
Even in our own thought process, but that just shows you we're not alone.
We're not alone. No.
And you never will be.
Nope.
Ever.
Never.
For eternity, your soul goes on for eternity.
Yep.
And you're never alone.
Never alone.
Because guess what? There's more souls than there are bodies to occupy.
Yep.
So you will never be alone.
No.
Ever. Even if you are in this world, like you don't have a wife or a significant other.
Right.
Don't look at that as that's,
I'm
shameful
alone,
and this is a terrible existence. Don't worry. It's because you're not alone.
For somebody like me, I don't have a lot of family, like blood family left. I have my brother. So I get that way sometimes. I get down that I have no family here, but then I remember that they are here in a different way. It's not the same, but they are here, and I can still communicate with them. Even if I wasn't a psychic, I could still communicate with them through these signs that they're sending me, because I can talk back to them. They may not be able to talk, and they use those signs to talk, but they hear me. They hear me just fine. So you can hold conversations with them like that. Right. So really, you are never alone.
You're not. And for you, you're lucky because you can hear back.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm learning to, and I can, but not as good as you. But I'm a testimony that you can start to develop this and learn how to, see the signs and hear that, pay attention to that inner voice, which you might think is you, but it's really, the other side helping you. Yep. And you are from the other side, so it is your higher consciousness.
Yes.
But it's your guides helping you.
Yes.
And you'll get there if you don't give up. And I'm saying that as much to myself as anybody that's listening to this.
Yes.
Is just believe and don't give up.
Yep. Follow those signs.
And, you'll get there.
You will.
So
yep.
You said something real quick before we get into saying goodbye about the interview. I wanted you to talk about that really fast.
Yes. I can't believe I forgot that. So I did an interview on another podcast called Too Many Podcasts. And I had talked about this a couple weeks ago, that it's a podcast about podcasts. And that came out yesterday, September 11th. So I'll share that link on our Facebook page. And you can also find it by searching on Facebook for Too Many Podcasts. Find on there. And I talked to the host. He's wonderful, Jim the Podcast Sherpa, he calls himself. It was a great interview. I really enjoyed it. He asked some wonderful questions, and I hope that I gave good insight on it. But I thought it went well. So have a listen if you have a chance.
It's funny because for a couple weeks prior to yesterday, I kept seeing 9/11 on the clock. And I'm like, what? You know, at first, I hate to say this, but my mind was going, tell me there's not going to be something
right. You jump to that conclusion
that
happens
a lot of again in this country. Yeah. I was also looking at it from a standpoint because there are some financial concerns. So I was like, oh, maybe that's a good sign. Like something's going to come our way.
Right.
And then I realized, no, it was your blog. It was that interview. They were just saying,
this is a big day.
Today is going to be a big day.
Yeah.
That day is going to be a big day. I didn't know it then, but I was saying out loud to you, I'm seeing 9/11.
Yes.
What's the deal? I see it at night. I see it in the morning. Yes. What's going on?
And most of the time, that's how it works. We see those signs. We know something's coming. A lot of times our mind will go to worst case scenario, or we'll try and pick apart what it could possibly be. But most of the time, we never really know. Right. And that was a good example of we knew something was coming yesterday, that it was going to be some kind of day, some kind of big day. We didn't know what it was, but the signs were there. But you just never know what it's going to be.
You really don't.
Yeah. So, but that's the interview, and have a listen, and
Cool. Well, you should be proud. That was really good. I'm glad that guy reached out to you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. I have another one next week. I'm doing 22nd. How funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've did another episode.
We did.
Nice.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the signs. It was another one that I knew I could just go on and on forever. And, if you have comments, questions, send them our way. We'd love to hear them about, the episode or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. And the upcoming month and discussing some of these things. The spooky month.
Exactly. If you have any suggestions for that as well. And you can send those actually to our email. Here's a good way to... you can send those to our email at spiritualjoneses@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at Spiritual Joneses, or Twitter is at Spiritual Jones. Any of the podcast platforms, you can find us by searching Spiritual Joneses.
Nice.
Make it super easy for you. And then, if you'd like a reading from me, you can find me and everything that I do on my website at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. I'll make it real easy for you. The blog, the podcast, my social media, it's all there. You can even set up an appointment there. Just go to the website.
Very good.
Yeah.
So efficient.
Easy peasy. Yeah.
All right. And if you like art and music, I dabble in both. So you can find my artwork at djonesartcollection.com. You can also find me on Facebook at djonesartcollection, and Instagram also the same. If you like music, gypsybrown.com, and also on Facebook as well as Instagram, which is #GypsyBrownMusic. So still working at that, and a lot of good things are coming.
Yay.
So we're just putting in the work right now, and we'll be sharing it soon. I know I've been saying it for a while, but
it all takes time.
It does.
Everything takes time.
But it's coming along great. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it, I think, huh?
Thanks for listening.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in again with us. We really appreciate it. Had a great episode.
Yeah.
And we look forward to next week. And until
then, peace and love.